talk to you a little bit tonight about what I call creativity, but creativity in reference to what we refer to typically as higher consciousness, higher states of consciousness, higher vibratory frequencies, raising your vibrational level. There's lots of words or common terms that are being used right now, particularly because of all the world changes, because of 2012. There's like themes and drama going on, and it's like people are using the same type of words and they're talking about the same type of things in the same way, but they're always talking in abstract terms, and hardly anybody comes along that will actually take one of those abstract terms and give it definition as far as bringing it into practical terms, as far as how do we actually, what do we mean, how do we do it, and how would I know that I'm doing it, and what kind of an experience would I be having if I were doing it, because everything that we're really talking about is a form of experience or a way of trying to describe an experience, as opposed to some kind of an intellectual grasping of an idea where we can picture it in our mind and hold a little idea out here somewhere that we can look at and say, oh yeah, I can see how that would work and that makes sense. So we get it theoretically, but we never actually understand what it means or how to bring it into practice in our everyday life. So I like to bring definition to some of these ideas, or at least a common theme of one of these ideas, and that is elevated states of mind, higher consciousness, higher vibratory frequency, raising your vibrational level, perfecting self-perfection, creating an ideal, moving into your higher self, all those type of ideas, because they directly correlate with another idea that we don't necessarily directly associate with, and that is creativity. And creativity is, I'm a mind scientist, so I do a lot of, exploration and stuff as far as the mind, and I don't mean the brain, I mean the mind as far as the energy field, the heart, the full body, and the brain, kind of like a holistic form of psychology, so to speak, that keeps the soul and the spirit intact in the equation. But anyway, and creativity is considered not only the highest faculty of the mind, but it's also the least understood, or it's the one that is what we call the most mysterious. And that is because nobody really knows for sure what it is. We can witness it, and we can see, we can tell, we can define what makes one person creative and what makes another person not creative, but we can't tell you why that one person is more creative than the other person, because there's nothing physical in the sense that there's nothing that we can pinpoint or touch in this situation that explains why. They just seem to be, it's a quality that people just seem to have and other people just seem to not have very much of. So, and the highest faculty of the mind is of course, because not only does it require full skillful use of the whole mind or the whole brain, or the whole, the feminine and the masculine being blended and used in their true complementary manner, but it also, when we're able to do this and learn how to train our mind to work in a holistic fashion, it allows true originality, innovation, unique experiences, and allows us to be individuals and create ourselves as individual, unique, brand new, fresh expressions that are different, slightly different at least from everybody else around us. That type of stuff, which is where new scientific discoveries, the intuitive aspect is where discoveries are made. Anyway, so it's kind of like the art, when we keep the art and the science together instead of separating them, where you got the left brain and the right brain, we keep them together so that the intuitive faculty makes the discovery, is capable of grasping the inspired idea that we then bring into the mind, and then the left brain kicks in, or and begins bringing definition to it, begins grasping it, what I call capturing an idea, bringing it into practical terms, creating an emotion, marrying it to a thought process, allowing those to blend and begin playing off of each other as an expression of the idea that we then we bring into creation as far as how we express that idea, whether it's a piece of artwork or a scientific discovery, or we're writing a beautiful score of music, or we're sculpting, or we're writing a novel. It doesn't really matter. The point is that what's doing the expressing, right, the imaginative, emotional, in any kind of expression, while the thought process is important because that's the form, that's the conceptualizing that creates a 3D reality of an idea, but it's the emotion that's involved that actually becomes the motive or the expressive quality as far as how the form expresses, that kind of gives it a feel, it gives it a quality about it, right? Because we can take the same behavior, the same process, and the attitude in which it's performed they can be day and night. They create entirely different experiences based on how something is performed. Well, it's the same way in all forms of art or creativity or creative expression or self-expression or self-transformation. All those things are based on how we marry the thought with the emotion, how we take an idea, realizing that we form a corresponding emotion that we then marry or allow a natural thought process to emerge from that's of the same nature, and then these two begin interacting and fluxing and flowing with each other, just like the right and the left hemispheres of the brain, or the masculine and the feminine aspects of the mind and the energetic field, to create or to express in a certain way or through a certain type of quality or an emotional state of mind. So, but when we're talking about consciousness, states of consciousness, higher vibration, vibratory frequency, those are all referring to the same idea. They're using different terminology, but if we understand how a hierarchy of correspondences take place, we know that a vibratory frequency has a certain vibration, right, as an encoded form of intelligence, as a pattern that basically comes into expression as a state of consciousness, or it has a certain quality of consciousness through the emotion and the thought process and how those two interact to unify the state so that it forms a single motion as an expressive quality. So, but we're really talking about what we could think of, or what we could refer to as basically a mood, okay? And a mood can be equated to a feeling in the sense that a mood is all pervasive, and it has a much more expansive time frame involved than, say, an emotion does. Emotions are usually pretty quick. They get stimulated, they're triggered, they rise up, they come up, they fully express, and then start kind of dissipating and getting smaller and fading away. And they can do this within a matter of a couple minutes. Whereas a mood can last for days. Sometimes it can last for weeks. I've seen people that were in the same mood their whole life, right? So these are like much broader time frames. And everybody knows, if they stop and think about it, that basically all of our thoughts, what we think about, how we think about it, what kind of stories we tell, how we perceive what we're thinking about, is all based on the mood that we're in when we're doing the thinking and the perceiving. So to create a higher state of mind that embodies our full creativity as our highest faculty, our highest use of our own mind to self-express in new and creative and innovative ways, is basically one of the easiest ways to do it, I should say, in the physical body, is to intentionally embody a certain quality or emotional state out of which, that acts, I should say, to unify the thought process, the perception of what we focus on, how we focus on it, in terms of acting as kind of like the organizing, synthesizing, unifying aspect that becomes the single motion of the expression itself. So, and the other thing that we want to keep in mind is that we actually have, like, our emotional state activates and enlivens our sensuous nature, right? It makes us, when we embody our emotions fully, our body wakes up and we feel sensations throughout our body. We become very aware of our body. We're having all kinds of movement going on that are kind of like tingling sensations and stimulating sensations that are just kind of going in and out at different places in our body. And our skin feels heightened and like awake and aware, and it's almost like we can feel the air against our skin. And sometimes we have like these little like fluctuating, like flashy, ribbony type things that flux and flow through our body that have like little goose flesh through it, and we can get like a rush, or we can get, you know, like we get goosebumps going up our back or something. And that's just the energy that's like moving, and it creates like a little pathway as it goes through us. But this is like the full heightened sensory state, and we have energetically through the etheric body, we have what we call a double, right? Our whole body has a double, but all of our senses have doubles, and this is what we call the super senses, or the spiritual faculties. But these are the heightened senses, right? That they act in a similar way, whereas the physical eyes, it determines that what we see, and the ability to see color, the ability to see light. The higher sense, the higher visualization is based on what kind of experience we have as a result of being able to look at something, or as we look at something, what experience do we create out of that visual. That's kind of what the higher sense does. It's experiential, intuitive, and it uses the senses more in terms of meaning, feeling, and it really embellishes an emotional quality as a means of creating an experience of something. And same thing when we listen to beautiful music. It's not about our ability to hear the different frequencies and tones. It's about the emotional experience of the music as we're listening to it. That's beautiful, and it's moving, and it's like passionate in nature, and just awakens our soul and sends us on a journey, so to speak. This is what the higher faculties of the mind do. And the imagination, of course, which is one of the highest uses of our mind, it embodies experience, ideas, situations, scenarios, and merges it with a very erotic, what I call erotic, sensuous, arousing type of feeling, and that is the swelling, expanding quality of an emotion that grows it, right? It makes it expand in our whole body, and it consumes us, and we feel like we're getting so big that we can't contain it, and if we try to contain it, we feel like we're going to explode, right? So the idea is to let it build and build and swell and get huge. I call it get big, and then we just cut it loose, right? We just allow it to just move outside of our body. And we know that when we do this, we're going to generate like a cycle or a magnetic pull that's going to pull more energy up through us and out into the world. And it starts like a rotation almost that creates a form of momentum. And this is what really elevates the state of mind. And once it gets up there, it's the momentum that helps you to sustain it for long periods of time. So, that's kind of a weird description. Okay. So, and that's why it has what we call the expressive quality. That's why sexual energy is so prevalent to expression. It's just that arousing, swelling, expanding that wants to move. It's always moving and twirling and flowing and flexing, and it wants to go out, right? So we feel compelled. We like have to express it, and we do so joyfully. I mean, when we put it out, it's euphoric. We're having a good time when we do it, so we really like it. It's an elevated, happy state of mind. We feel real excited and enthusiastic and joyful, and we bring that quality to everything that we do. And that's the experience of what we call a higher vibration. It has a lightness to it that's like it's buzzy. I call it buzzy, tingly. You can almost feel a little bit like disoriented. It can get so, I call it real, but we're so used to being distracted that when we have those experiences, we call them disorientation, or we call them feeling, you know, like we're almost like in a parallel dimension, or we're almost like not quite, you know, present in the same way. And in reality, it's because we're actually more present than we've ever been, and it's weird, right? We're not used to it, so we go, whoa, right? But it's that ability to be present in a situation. Creativity is present. All the distractions are gone. It's like a full concentration that's passionate in nature. You're in a euphoric emotion. You're loving what you're doing, what you're looking at. You feel love for. The emotion that you create becomes the lens that you look through, which determines you only see what is of the same nature, or what, when you see it and witness it, gives you more of the same feeling. It stimulates the same feeling in you, so it increases it, expands it, and gives you more of it. So you become it. Then you walk out into the world and you're spreading it, right? It's like whatever emotional quality I embody as I walk out into the world, I act to stimulate in other people and in other things and bring it out in them. And when I bring it out in them, that becomes the common ground through which the quality that determines the nature of the interaction that we have, so to speak, and that's the creative element. It's not about me trying to make something happen, trying to say what needs to happen, or trying to go about it in a way to ensure that something happens. It's about me becoming they call it the change that we want, but I'm becoming the quality that is the nature of my expression, knowing that that's going to influence and stimulate it in other people, bring it out in them, and then strengthen it in both of us, and I'm going to create an experience out of that emotional quality that's going to become a program for my mind of a memory. It's going to create like a memory of that state, so that I can, in the future, I can access it intentionally, because now I have a memory to reference, to pull in, to relive, and to recapture that exact state of mind. But so when we're in this elevated state, we have that. Our body feels very pleasure. The emotions that are being secreted through our endocrine glands they're very positive. They're very euphoric feeling. So our body's experiencing pleasure when we're in these states, which is what we call happiness, joy, you know, the fun, the celebration, the curiosity, the excitement, the enthusiasm. All those things are just positive emotions that give us that kind of like giddy, I call it a giddy, buzzy, tingly sensation that has a heightened sensation to it. And it's very happy. It's very pleasant and light and easy, and it just kind of like dances and floats around and stuff instead of getting heavy and bogged down and applying a lot of pressure to something, which is what the negative emotions do. So as you go through your day, and like anything, it takes practice, right? Practice is the key to everything. So you have to realize first that you can create your own state of mind. You can embody the emotion and the quality of energy that you want to, as a means of self-expression, that you can walk through your day bringing into expression. And then ask yourself, what emotions, what would I be experiencing? What emotions would create this type of experience? Intentionally embody those emotions. Focus on the type of things that make you feel that way, or that those emotions are about. Use your internal dialogue to tell you stories about that, and let that become kind of like the filter, the mood that you look through life, that determines how you view life, how you see it, your ability to appreciate it, and practice. Once you get that state, once you get good at creating it, practice keeping it even when you walk through your whole day, so that when you meet a negative person, or you meet a bad experience or something, instead of causing you to plummet, which is what it typically does, you can keep your focus, keep your perspective, and realize that negative people, it's just about them. Their negativity doesn't have to affect you if you don't want it to, right? We don't know that we can choose not to let people bother us, right, or affect us, so to speak. So, but we can. So when you meet negative people, just kind of skip over them. Don't let them get to you, and practice maintaining that state so that you can continue going through your day in it without letting other people alter it for you. And I guarantee you that when you do that, you're going to start having cool new insights into things. You're going to start having spontaneous ideas come to you that are very creative in nature, which means that they're like unique and novel and truly of your own. It's original to you, so to speak. It's not something that you're just repeating or regurgitating because you heard it someplace along the line, which is what we typically call creation, right? It's just repeating somebody else's idea. But and that's how you create. Or one of the ways. Naturally, there's many ways. And if this doesn't make sense to you, or you don't really relate to it, don't give up. There's other ideas, and you'll keep looking until you find one that you do resonate with and relate to, because it's really about being able to create the experience of what we're calling a higher vibratory frequency, and your ability to influence the vibration of the planet. They use that type of language, which is very vague, is really about your ability to bring that influence into the energy field as a way of infusing it with a higher vibration, which serves to elevate. Higher vibrations introduced into any field serves to elevate the field just by its influence. So, but not to mention that it really enhances your ability to live, your ability to experience life more fully and in a much more enriched way, which is always the key to life, right? Is to make the most of it and to live full out and to experience positive, great emotions and create out of those emotions and uplift humanity, so to speak, as opposed to being another one of those ones that are just, crash and burn, right? It's like we used to call them bummers, right? Man, you're a real bummer, man. It's like, no. Let's get high on life, right? Let's make the most of it and live in the moment. So, and like all things, make it fun, okay? This is a joyous experience. Creativity is fun. It's happy. It's exuberant. And just play and pretend and experiment with new ideas and have a good time.